want to welcome in Carson Ingle of 1080 The Team down in Orlando to help preview Saturday's matchup with the UCF Knights at Rentschler Field at noon on Saturday. Carson, definitely welcome to the show.
Hey, good to be with you, man.
I'd be remiss not to bring up the news from yesterday with the decision by the Big 12 to not expand. What's been the reaction down at UCF?
Yeah, I'm sure the reaction's been about the same that it's been everywhere throughout the American, including up there at UConn. Just disappointment, maybe not shocked. I mean, I think everyone kind of knew what was going to come there based on the last couple of weeks of news and notes and what, reading between the lines of some of the comments that have been made. You just kind of figured, well, it doesn't sound very good for expansion, but still disappointed to hear the finality of it. And I don't think people like to hear that one comment that was made that basically no schools were even talked about in the whole process yesterday. So that was maybe annoying to some people that feel that, these different schools, whether it be at Houston or a UCF or a Cincinnati or UConn, add real value in a situation like that. So not a surprising day, not a shocking day, so it wasn't maybe as painful of a blow, but still disappointing nonetheless.
Yeah, it's been the same reaction up this way. Athletic Director David Benedict held a press conference prior to head coach Bob Diaco's weekly press conference today, kind of explaining the process. And kind of the disappointment he really said was the only thing was them mentioning that no schools were really talked about during the meeting. So he was kind of surprised about that. But moving on to UCF football, coming off a pretty stunning loss on Saturday against Temple. What's been the reaction after that game?
Yeah, I think it's just a lot of scratching, wondering how UCF could look so good early on in the first half, racing out to a 25-7 lead, and then inexplicably just losing all their play potential and not scoring at all in the second half and losing in the final seconds of a game. I think people are disappointed because they saw how yet again UCF defense really answered the call. But when you run an offense like Scott Frost does, and you think about the Oregon offense that it's so patterned after, it's a offense that has to work for everything to be successful. So if it's not humming, if it's not picking up first downs, that offense is off the field quick, and it doesn't leave the defense a lot of leeway. They get tired, and I thought that was certainly what happened at the end of that game, and disappointing in the effort because it was a game that UCF really thought that they could win, and certainly the fan base keyed as a very important game to continue to see the growth of the program.
Now, you did mention Scott Frost bringing the Oregon offense to Orlando. Is it a very fast-paced, tempoed offense? What do they do well? What's going to make them successful, especially come Saturday?
Sure. It is, and what people don't really understand is sometimes the misconception of the spread offense, and makes them think it's this big, top-happy offense. Well, the Oregon spread's a little bit different. It's a run-based spread, and so UCF has been successful. They were not for maybe the first time in 2016 against Temple, but for the most part, it's been a team that's been very successful running the football. And that's kind of what they're able to key to pass on. And they weren't really successful on Saturday, albeit except for a 63-yard run by Mackenzie Milton that went for a touchdown. But they had great success running the football with true freshmen in Jawan Hamilton and Adrian Killings, who people have maybe seen so far on highlight reels and YouTube clips for his incredible speed. So they've been good running the football, and that can kind of key to big pass, but they didn't have that on Saturday, and you kind of expect maybe a similar defensive challenge against UConn on Saturday.
You mentioned a couple of the young guys I did want to ask you about. First up, at quarterback, Mackenzie Milton. It seems he's really supplanted Justin Holman at the position. Should we expect to see just Milton, or should we see some of Holman as well?
Yeah, no, Scott Frost addressed that in his press conference yesterday, and it'll be the whole way as long as Milton's healthy, really the rest of the season. He's definitely played better than Justin Holman. I don't know how much that says. Holman really has regressed. It certainly didn't seem like he picked up the Frost offense well at all, and Mackenzie Milton is obviously handpicked by Scott Frost and his staff to do the things they want to do. So they're going to keep riding with him. They're going to try to develop him on the fly. He's a true freshman. He makes a lot of mistakes. He's a little bit reckless, but you just see the potential and the big play opportunities that he can create. So that's why they're going to keep going with him and just hope that they can continue to narrow down on those mistakes as they go through things.
What stands out to you on the field with Milton? What does he do well?
Again, he just has that knack for turning a bad play into a good play. He's great on the run, being able to throw out of pressure in situations and make big plays. And like I said, he had a 63-yard touchdown run on Saturday, which is the second longest touchdown run by a quarterback in UCF history after Dante Culpepper. So he just has that electricity. He's got that, we talk about the cliche of like hit factor. That's what McKinsey Milton has at quarterback now. He's got to be a lot more careful with the football and maybe play a little bit more within himself and not try to do too much. But there's certainly the ability for him to just rip off some kind of play that you just didn't even see was coming at any minute in the game.
Now we're talking with Carson and Ingle, a 10-8 of the team from Orlando, previewing Saturday's UCF and UConn matchup here in Connecticut. Now, another young guy that you mentioned, Adrian Killings, electrifying running back and also a kick returner. Is he really bringing a different dynamic to UCF?
He does, and I think for UCF to be successful, you almost have to look for him to grab one big play each game. Now, he caught a touchdown on Saturday, but he didn't really have that textbook big play either as a returner or a running back that he's had pretty much in every game all season. So we want to look for him to maybe get back on track, maybe to be able to make a big play if UCF can win the game against UConn.
Now, a name UConn fans are familiar with at the running back position, Dontravius Wilson. Has he really seen less and less playing time as these young guys have emerged?
They've still worked him in, and I've been a little bit impressed just with the way that he's picked up the offense. I've never really been high on him when he come into a year, and we've assessed UCF's running back depth each year, and he's been in the mix now for 3 years at least. But he's done a really good job adapting his skill set to the Scott Frost offense, and he's still a factor, and that's what they talk about, and really that's what you've seen out of Oregon all these years, is their ability to rotate several backs into the game plan to keep them fresh. Each guy maybe bringing a different thing to the game plan, and so Wilson is still a factor in there. Killings is the guy that kind of gets all the headlines. I see like Juwan Hamilton, the other freshman, maybe more of the consistent starting back that you come out with, and then Dontravius Wilson is just another change of pace guy who's more of a downhill runner and can pound the football in there a little bit more.
Now, moving to the other side of the ball, during today's press conference, head coach Bob Diaco was really talking about how impressed he was reviewing the film of the UCF defense. First year under Coach Frost, like we mentioned, how have they looked under him?
Coach Diaco was absolutely right, and that echoes the sentiments of so many coaches that have played UCF this year, and even the fans. I mean, I'm absolutely blown away by how good the defense is compared to what I thought they would be, compared to what we saw last year. Big factoring in what I really thought was maybe a lack of talent on that side of the ball, but it just hasn't been the case. And credit to defensive coordinator Eric Shenander. I mean, everyone's always talking about the offense, because that's what Frost was hired for, and that's what everybody knew about. So then you kind of think, well, Oregon defensively, not that strong, and part of that is because of the way that the offense operates. They're just, their numbers even look worse, but the defense has been great. They hit hard. They run to the football. It's a team that has been completely rejuvenated under this coaching staff, and it's really been the story of the season. And I think, that is the thing that has really propelled UCF to be in a conversation where they can start to talk about, okay, we can potentially navigate our way to a bowl game.
Now, another dynamic heading in between UCF and UConn is the manufactured rivalry with the trophy, the conflict trophy that Bob Diaco created. Has anyone asked Coach Frost about this game, and has he said anything about the trophy?
They have. They asked Scott Frost yesterday. I saw an interview with our defensive coordinator, Eric Shenander, today. They both said kind of the same thing. They both sort of pushed that aside. They're like, I didn't really know about it until I was here, and this is just an extra game for us. So they're not really recognizing it. You could probably kind of understand why. And I don't know that they're necessarily doing their part to fan the flames of the rivalry. I don't know how Coach Diaco has been with it either. I know that he was sort of high on that being a thing because of George O'Leary, and now O'Leary's gone. So, again, it sort of shows the short-sighted nature of him trying to start that in the first place, in my opinion.
Yeah, he was asked about that today during the press conference, a little dismissive of it, saying he didn't want to talk about it publicly, he wants to keep it internal. But his players were definitely talking about it after the press conference, so he's definitely using that internally to maybe help motivate the players. Come the game Saturday, what are you expecting between this matchup? UConn's won the last two matchups. The first one very heavily, UCF defeated UConn the first time. What do you see Saturday?
Yeah, it's very hard to kind of figure out UConn, right? I think you probably look at what they've done this year, and you'd say they've been up and down and a little inconsistent. And you certainly have some concerns, though, the way UCF's coming off this game against Temple, and I feel like maybe UConn has a similar blueprint that Temple has, and you're going back out on the road. I like UCF's chances in the game. At the same time, I am a little bit leery of UConn, maybe just because that whole sting of 0-12 down here hasn't worn off yet, and certainly the last two games against UConn, games that UCF went into feeling very confident, and I think everyone around here thought would be rollover wins for the night, and it just hasn't really been the case. So it's one of those, show it to me before I believe it, and that's kind of the way that I go in looking at things on Saturday.
Definitely appreciate the time, and maybe before you go, give the listeners a chance to let them know where they can find you online.
Yeah, absolutely. You can follow me on Twitter at CAINGLE. Co-host the show every Saturday, 11 to 1 usually, and the Sports Talk Florida Insider Show, and you can always catch that at sportstalkflorida.com.
Well, definitely appreciate the time. I agree it should be a good game. It could go either way. Are you coming up for the game?
I'm not going to be there. I thought about it, but I've got some people visiting town in Orlando this weekend, so I'm not going to make it. But I think for both teams, they'd have to say that if either one wants to make a bowl game, this game may be very, very critical in that effort.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be an important one for both teams. So definitely appreciate the time, and thanks again for joining.
Yeah, always, man.